What up, IW crew? Welcome to episode 232 right here on GameTrailers.com. Oddly enough, we are in the hot season for video games, but for some odd scheduling quirk, we have a down week. Not a ton of big games coming out this week, so we've decided to answer a lot of your questions today. We do have some good stuff to get to. We are answering a lot of your questions on the hook today. Just a couple housekeeping notes to go over. First of all, thanks to everybody who came out to the GT Film Fest this week. It was awesome. I think everybody here would agree. Amazing turnout, standing room only. It was really great to meet a lot of the fans. Everybody had a blast. Everybody got a lot of free stuff, awesome free stuff. It was great. We're already looking at doing it again next year, so put it on your calendar, folks. It'll be bigger and badder next year, and we hope to see even more of you. Also, wanted to give you an update on the Call of Duty Black Ops 2 review that will be going live on Monday night at midnight Pacific. And obviously, right around the same time the game goes on sale at midnight sales. But our review will be up then, so make sure you look for that. Without further ado, let's introduce who's on the show today. Obviously, I'm Shane Satterfield. This is Justin Spear.
Yo.
Man, a few words. The silent storm.
Hello, everybody.
Patrick Morales is on the show today.
Howdy, and it's all about quality, not quantity.
That's absolutely correct. And I would say the quantity this Q4 has drastically been reduced over prior years.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, which is good for us. We're actually maybe getting a little sleep right now. And there's Marcus Beer on the end there, the annoyed gamer.
I've been telling my girlfriend quality over quantity for years. She still doesn't believe it. Hello. I've got a mustache.
Yeah, so Marcus, you want to talk about the mustache?
Yeah, audio was a little bit off last week, but yes, I'm growing this for Movember, which is for men's health, for prostate cancer, testicular cancer. You can go to annoyedgamer.com and you can see where to go sponsor me. Basically, I'm going to have a dead rat under my nose for the next 3 weeks. So it's going to grow, it's going to get comedy, and if I have to look like this, I would very much appreciate it if you could spare $1 or more to, do good work.
Save the balls.
It's all about the and the butts.
Save the balls and the butts.
Yes. We're all about balls and butts here.
All right, first we're going to talk about kind of an indie darling, a game that to me, came out of nowhere. It's been generating a lot of hype over the last couple weeks. That game is Hotline Miami. Justin, how would you describe Hotline Miami to someone who is uninitiated?
I guess it's about the joy of murder.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're into that, yeah,
and you're willing to admit it.
Yeah.
Nothing controversial there, then.
How does the game play?
Patrick did the review. We both played it a good bit. I just recently got the gamepad support working. They patched it, but it's really fast. You go into levels, and if you're dead, then that's it. You pretty much have to go through an entire floor, kill everyone flawlessly. You kill everything you do will instantly kill someone. If someone gets a beat on you, you'll instantly be splattered against the wall. So it's just really fast.
So one shot kills all around.
You kind of just have to puzzle it out, and if you screw up or slip up, it's like wham, it's over. Yeah.
If I had to give the elevator summary for that game, it's basically think the old kind of like top-down GTA, like old games, meets Super Meat Boy, in that death and failure is kind of a regular occurrence. Like Justin said, getting hit once will kill you and you have to restart the level. But at the same time, if you hit someone once, they die too. So it's kind of like a very lethal exchange of trial and error. And it's all about finding that clean run, that clean route. And what's cool about it is that there's such a huge emphasis on executing things, not necessarily perfectly, because things will go wrong in any stick-up, but it's all about doing things precisely. So shooting,
Now, trial and error generally is something, when I hear it, I'm like, ugh.
Well, it's not necessarily like, a game like Fire Emblem is like puzzly in a way that there are kind of, or Advance Wars, there seem to be correct moves to make.
Right.
That's not really the case here. Anything that you can pull off, you just have to conceive in your head. You bust through a door, the guy that's hit by the door is thrown on the ground. You throw, you smack someone with a weapon. You throw a weapon at another dude. He goes down. You go over and beat the other guy to death. And then by the time the other guy stands up, you're ready to,
When I say trial and error, it's less of finding the one correct way, and more finding the one that works best for you. And I think what's cool about this game is that it lets you kind of experiment with different play styles. One hook that it has is that So you're a hitman, right? And before each level, you can put on a different mask, which kind of correlates with an animal. and each of these masks have a different power up. Like one mask will make you run faster, one will make you able to start the level with a knife. So they're all kind of these like little loadouts, little perks that you can kind of bring with you, and it's cool because it kind of leads to these different methods and approaches that let you tackle it level in a different way, and it kind of feeds into a continual loop of, okay, can I do this faster? Can I do this, quieter? So there's this kind of nice little bit of experimentation there to be had.
What platforms is this game available for, and what's the cost of it?
It's on PC for now. You can get it on Steam or Gold Games, and it's $10. But with the controller patch that they recently brought out, I could see it coming to a platform like the 360 and PSN. I guess it's just a matter of time. It's perfect for that, really, and I think it could totally work, especially when we've seen games like Retro City Rampage.
I've seen some editorials, and I'm not too familiar with the game. I mean, I've seen videos. I saw you play it a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually thought it was all about phone sex when I first heard Hotline Miami. But there's been a fair amount of controversy about this, and there's been, and you say it's an indie darling, but then a lot more perhaps of the indie-centric blogs. Some of them have been commenting that this is quite controversial and really quite, inappropriate.
Is it gratuitous?
I mean, and this is the thing. Because I haven't played it. I'm just curious as to what your thoughts are, given, I mean, do you play like a serial killer?
Yeah, you basically play as a contract killer. You get your assignments over the phone, and then you just go to each level and start.
Yeah, it's not really clear what you're getting out of it. Your guy is kind of just like he does these things because he gets a phone message. I mean, there's some kind of story to the game, but
there's like a surrealistic kind of like psychedelic slant to it.
Yeah, maybe your dude's being controlled in some way or influenced in some way. There's some kind of framework, but I mean, in terms of video game violence and stuff, I'd say it's still nothing new.
I find that interesting, though. I mean, because people are, there are some people complaining about it when it's like, how come that game, because it's perhaps an indie game, it's PC, it's $10. Because I saw it. I mean, it's very old school style graphics. It's not it's not cutting edge gory. And then you look at the equivalent, military shooters, and the amount of blood and gore and viscera that comes out there. So I was curious to get your opinion on it as you played it, because it sounds like these guys are just talking out their assholes.
Well, they're probably looking more at the psychology of it, right? And how do you guys feel about that? I mean, how did you feel while you were playing the game? Is it like a guilty pleasure?
I'd say, feels good, man.
Yeah.
Like Pepe.
Squishing the guys,
I'm very young
poking his eyeballs out
House
his thumbs,
Dexter.
I mean, in terms of the gore, it's no more shocking than like Smash TV, which came out 20 years ago.
But there are a few things maybe that you'll kind of wince, like you'll slit a guy's throat on the ground and the blood kind of spread out the side, and sometimes you're like, oh, wait a minute, that looks.
Even
with
a
simple
really the
graphics.
visuals, though. It's like,
but it looks like
how do you
16-bit
feel
blood,
about
doesn't it?
yourself while you're
Sure,
playing?
I think it's a little
like
more
Manhunt,
honest.
for instance. Manhunt, when I played that
it's
game,
a little similar to
I
that.
actually had a little regret while I played that game.
In that way, it definitely kind of hits it on the head, because it does delve into more than just the gore. It's kind of like this very mental, like kind of crazy place that you're inhabiting when you're playing the game. But it does it off really well, like especially when you consider that they deliver it in such kind of like a lo-fi, sprite kind of like old school way, but it still makes you feel.
Now, how would you
weird.
feel if
It's
that
pretty cool.
were like a AAA game with amazing production values? Would that change your perspective on the game at all? Does the cartoony nature of it kind of soften the blow a little?
I think they want you to think about, enjoying violence a little bit, at least a little bit. Maybe they're, I don't think it's like a deep piece of art where they're trying to really emphasize the meaning. But, I'm sure they're playing with you, they're playing with your mind. And I think maybe it's a little more honest if you're playing a dude who just fucking kills people because someone tells him to, rather than, oh, you have a great mission to stop the whatever, so you can murder 500 people. It's totally cool. They're all bad.
They're trying to take
each
our
one
drones.
of them, every one of these guys kicks puppies. They're all evil, Their political beliefs are wrong. They're fucking crazy. That's just bullshit. I mean, I think that's actually worse if you're like, you're being played. This game's like, hey, you want to kill people? It's fun. Go
At least
ahead
it's
and do
upfront
it.
about it, right?
Yeah. I think it's.
Now, obviously, a mature game probably need to be 17, 18 to play it. You would recommend?
I'd say
Do you
at
think it's
least
good
12.
for an 11 or 12-year-old kid to play this game?
It depends on the
They're
kid.
probably already
That's-
playing Call of Duty, so might as well. But going back to what you said, I think if they did change anything about the game, be it visuals or gameplay or whatever, I don't know if it would work as well, because you could feel that this game is put together in such a specific way that it kind of comes off as a perfect vision of what the guys had in mind. Like everything from like the crazy like electro chill wave music to the visuals, to the gore. It does harken back to like a very specific time of like games and movies at the time. So
now, did they
I think
make
it
their
works
own
perfectly.
chill wave for the game, or did they bring in other artists?
They got like 3 indie artists to do the music, and it sounds really good.
Do you remember who they are?
Moon.
I'm a big Chillwave fan, so.
There's Moon.
Below 5.
I forget the other names, but there's like 3 different artists that collaborated on this, and it's really good.
Yeah, it's an excellent soundtrack.
Pretty sick soundtrack.
Cool. So you recommend it, guys? $10, kind of hard not to, right?
Yeah, it's $10. You know.
Yeah, I think it's worth it.
If you like Hotline Miami, you might like these other games by Cactus.
All right, so next we're going to talk about Little Big Planet karting. I have to admit the karting genre is something I used to love, but now I feel like there are very few new ideas in the genre. Ryan, what sets LBP karting apart from all the others? Anything?
It's mediocrity.
It's not on the Nintendo, so it's different to Mario Kart.
So the funny thing I think about Little Big Planet karting is when Mod Nation Racers came out, everyone was like, why wasn't this Little Big Planet themed?
Right.
And now the guys who made Mod Nation Racers are working with Media Molecule to make this game. And it has some hits and misses, and I mean...
Because it does make perfect sense.
Totally.
Mod Nation Racers, you could build your own tracks, create your own whatever.
Totally makes sense. But,
it was kind of an oversight. Why would they not connect
Well, I mean,
those
the fact
dots?
that the Mod Nation little dudes already looked kind of like Sackboys.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, you know, the game's... The game content and the creation content. To talk quickly about the creation content is it has the cool, easy to use Mod Nation rules where you race where you want to go to make your track and then pinch it and stuff to conform it. And then it throws in all the Little Big Planet stuff. They have a shit ton of tutorials, but they're all just these videos that play out, and you can't really. What was so great about Little Big Planet for how it kept. I've played all the Little Big Planet games. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've even played the Vita. I've even played the Vita one. You know, these tutorials, they play out in the editor. You can do stuff. They'll respond to you. Well, I think, yeah, certain stickers will like make certain other things happen. Here, you literally just have to watch a video. You're not in there. And this is Little Big Planet's ideas being moved to 3D. And that happened a little bit, not more than a little bit. I mean, people hack that stuff into Little Big Planet too. But here, it's very, very 3D. You know, there is a Z-axis pretty much at all times.
Yeah.
And there are crazy things. Like from the beta and the people who worked on the game, we saw tower defense, first-person shooter, even back to racing. We saw someone change it all back to hoverboats. And you know that's really what this game is going to stand on, is what its community does. But with the tools being way harder to get into and the tutorials, I mean they have a lot of them, but just it feels a little more like school this time, I guess, or like a lecture. It's just harder to do. When it gets
That's a line that sort of Media Molecule always has to mind, right?
Well,
It's
but
like,
going to
you don't
3D,
want to
man.
make playing a game work.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. You could say that sentence in a different inflection and it would mean something else.
Right.
And Justin, you got to play some of the racing game, and it's a little off.
With it.
And I was wondering.
Off or awful?
It's just not the best feel,
The,
you know?
the turning feels a
quite
little
feel it.
off. The drifting, like it's all there, but it feels. And you know, this goes back to like we try to look at these games with like a kind of the game as itself.
Right.
But it is kind of hard to say after 15 years of Mario Kart if I've been indoctrinated by Mario Kart. You know, if the fucking Mass Effect dudes are in my head telling me that only Mario Kart games are good. It's serviceable. Like you can have fun, but like. I know Chris also played, who's behind the camera right now, and he was really upset by the speed, and I think you had some speed issues as well.
It feels a little slow, like your turning feels like really slow with a little hop.
Every time I
just
walked
feel like
by and saw
it's
you
like a
playing
laggy
it,
hop.
I didn't even know like that's the way the whole game played, but I looked at it and I just assumed you were in some funky mode or you were driving in mud. Because
they need to go up a few cc's.
Yeah.
And you can mess around with like physics and stuff, but like there's no like simple like going back to Mario Kart 50cc to 150cc or anything like that. You know, and then it has the whole thing, like, they knew, like, they going into it, I think they knew some of their ideas were a little weird. Like, it has the little bits of fluff, and you can get point multipliers. It doesn't affect your speed, it's just for high score. So you can kind of swerve and try to get a bunch of little point pods, and if you get them in rapid succession, you get a multiplier. And then your your final race time, your position, and your score adds up for a weird leaderboard thing. Like, I don't think anyone's going to give like two flying fucks about. But each track also has a versus mode where they strip all that stuff out, and it's just the track with the weapons.
Pure racing.
And weapon-wise, the thing that annoyed me the most is, this maybe sound a little petty, but like, when you pick up a weapon, it's just a little icon. Like your guy may have like a little rocket, but you have no clue what you really have.
So
and
you
have
don't
to
physically see
and
the
you have to,
weapon
and you have to
on
memorize what
the
they
card.
are. Yeah.
And there seem to be a few too many of them. There seems like there are redundant weapons or weapons that just aren't too good. Like,
Like you ride a boxing glove, but you also like it's the autopilot or the chain chomp. Autopilot from Wipeout or the chain chomp from Wipeout's kind of a kart racer, huh? I never thought of that until this very second. But you know, you have a little bit of steer, but they just kind of like that autopilot for 5 seconds. But the worst is, you know how in Mario Kart when you're totally fucked, they give you like the lightning bolt or the star?
The blue shell, yeah.
But you're still driving and doing stuff, and even the autopilot, you're still in the race. Here it's this fast forward effect, and I find this almost insulting as like a game design. It literally, you press it and you just skip like half the track.
Well, I mean, the bullet bill power-up kind of does that in Mario Kart.
You're at least still going, but you're still there. Here, you're literally like skipping content.
All right.
Like there's no
you're just,
driving,
like, disappearing and reappearing up ahead.
And yeah, it's just, I don't know. It really rubbed me the wrong way.
And then
but super quick, we played F1. What was it? Race Stars. Like another kart racer with the F1 license,
which makes zero sense.
And like honestly, felt way better. Looked better. That's the other thing. They're trying to get that Little Big Planet feel. And it's all that charm and whimsy. It's a little harder to pull off of that like level of fidelity in 3D. I mean, it's an okay game, but I know a lot of it's going to depend on the community, but like I would say it's a pass or pick it up in the bargain bin, but it has a season pass, so if you do want to get that online content, you're going to have to
pay
chip in 10 or 15, I actually don't know, 10 or 15 bucks, I'm guessing.
So did you play with the joypad or with the Move steering wheel? Cause
I didn't actually check out the Move, but it does have Move support.
Yeah, because I had phone calls from Sony like, oh, can we send you a steering wheel to take a look at? And it hasn't arrived yet, but yeah, it's like the Move steering wheel.
That's because they want you to take it on TV, right?
Yeah. Is it as good as F-Zero?
No.
Okay. Seriously, if you can't be as good as a 25-year-old game,
right,
then we got a problem.
Now, what about the main single player? Is there like a story mode? One thing I think that that shocks me is that really no game since Diddy Kong Racing have really replicated what that game did, which was create like a story mode that was actually interesting to play through.
I'm gonna be blasphemous here. I wasn't a big fan of Diddy Kong.
No.
Yeah. There's a story mode, but I mean it's like people are messing up the world. Here, we'll explain why you're on this planet. And it's races, arena battles versus AI. Not really that much fun.
Yeah.
There's a couple of one-off things, like there's some boss battles or like slalom, like point-to-point racing and stuff like that. And then the mini games show some of the creativity of the editor. The levels they're okay, but like I'd be hard pressed to really remember a couple of favorites. I think the coolest thing was like on the last lap of one track, a dinosaur head kind of turns, and instead of going through his bite like this, you actually go straight down his throat to the finish line.
Where's the finish line? Out of
they kind of switched over. Yeah.
It's in the lower intestine.
Movember.
So did you play Mod Nation Racers much?
I only played the Vita version.
Okay. Even based upon that, would you say it's a better idea to pick up Mod Nation out of the bargain bin or to buy this game brand new?
I'll, buy a Nintendo 64 and get Mario Kart 64.
Spend $20.
I mean, having not played Mod Nation, I'm not really sure. I think there's going to be some really cool things hacked in to the engine, but that's one of the things, going back to Little Big Planet, you see a lot of things that are inspiring, but I'm always curious how much fun they actually are. Like when I was playing Peggle in Little Big Planet 2, I'm like, this is insane, but it's not as good as Peggle.
Right.
So that's always that. I think the first-person shooter, that's pretty nuts, but
yeah,
I mean, Doom is better.
Right. So you're basically saying don't buy this game.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want a kart racer, you only have a PS3. If you want that extra expandability, maybe, pick it up over Mod Nation. I think it's probably going to have, again, I think the Little Big Planet names are probably going to draw in more people, so it'll have a healthier community.
And maybe hold on for Sega All-Stars Racing.
Or the F1
No.
game.
Or the F1 game?
It was actually, it's actually pretty decent for a kart racer. I played it back to back, and
Yeah.
one was pretty good, and one was,
not so much.
not so good.
はじめまして、スーパーな Wii U です。
All right, so yesterday we got the Wii U retail unit in. Maybe you've seen our unboxing video already.
Good music.
Yeah.
I liked it.
That video came out pretty well. We've actually had about 24 hours with it now, and we are under heavy restrictions as far as what we can and can't talk about, but we do want to kind of brief you guys on our initial impressions of the system. Ryan, based upon your limited time with it, what is kind of your initial take?
I'm really glad we could set it to 720p.
Yeah.
And it works on our recording devices. I am one of the people in the office who unfortunately didn't get to even touch it at E3 or at any other events.
Yeah.
So I think we can say this. We loaded up Nintendo Land.
Yep.
Okay. And just, I mean, I actually, like, I've done the AR stuff on the DSi and the iPad. And it's cool, but it always seems kind of gimmicky. It actually seems really responsive and kind of cool. Just, I mean, I didn't even go into a game. I was just walking around the hub, and obviously that's completely a tech demo. But just like Wii Sports was a tech demo, that was actually pretty enjoyable. I'm not so sure about the games themselves, but it's the technology is definitely there and it works.
The lack of latency is really, really impressive on it.
Yeah, Justin, what were you saying about that?
Oh, there's that one Iwata asks that goes into detail on how they exactly, break images up into packets. They assemble it on the fly. Yeah, there's virtually
it's like
no
Wonka
latency.
Vision.
It's like less lag than usually when you plug your console into an HD TV. It's like pretty
impressive.
It's really impressive, yeah.
And that screen looks great.
The screen looks amazing.
I only really saw the menus in Nintendo Land, and I thought maybe it looked like 2% washed out. But in
the colors
general,
are a little lighter on
and it doesn't look like
the
there's
tablet
any
screen.
calibration for colors that I could see.
I didn't find anything fiddling around with it last night either, but it doesn't really need it. I mean, that screen looks
and super
real
light.
sharp.
Super light.
Light, yeah. And at first we got it and we were like, oh, this feels really light and maybe a little cheap. But then when I started playing with it, I realized why they didn't make it feel heavier. It's because there's a lot of games where you have to hold.
It's a controller, so
yeah, you have to hold the tablet with one hand and then use your other hand to do things with the touchscreen. So I could see where if they just loaded that thing with extra plastic to make it feel bulkier, it would eventually become tiresome. So I can understand why they did that, but I would say also when you pick up the tablet for the first time, it does feel a little flimsy. Yeah. A little bit like a toy maybe versus like a piece of electronics. It doesn't have like kind of that solid state feel to it.
I mean, with the Wiimotes and the nunchucks, they never exactly felt.
Yeah, you're right.
They didn't have the heft to them. And I've seen the Wii U twice, once at E3 18 months ago, and once at Target last Sunday, where the entire demo station was pretty much ignored. The one guy I saw pick up the tablet, look at the screen, look at the tablet, look at the screen, put it down, and walk away.
Anecdotes.
Yeah, but I mean that's been my only exposure so far. But when I did pick it up, it did feel like. But yeah, if I mean, let's face it, if you're gonna have it in one hand, so you can jerk off over Mario Kart, is it wipe clean? Is it easy to wipe clean? Do we know? Did we check it? Did we check it for stains after Shane brought it back?
The other thing that's really cool about it too is whatever you have on the screen of the tablet, you can flip the tablet around in circles or whatever, but the image always stays stabilized at the right orientation. So say, for instance, you're using it on your couch and you kind of have it kicked to the side. Even if the tablet's like kicked at an angle, the bottom, say the level that your character is standing on is still level with like your floor or whatever.
Yeah, it's not like a smartphone where it adjusts. It's
it doesn't go flip,
it's always,
flip.
It's
it
always
literally spins and rotates as you spin it, as smooth as can be.
Yeah, it's silk. I will say, everyone who picked up the controller was, I heard this like 3 or 4 times, they were like, shoulder buttons, they're digital, they're not analog.
They're clicky, there's no travel in the shoulder buttons on the controller.
So yeah, I guess, maybe Mario Kart will just have fast speed and
not so fast.
And stop speed, I don't know.
No, the console comes out in, was it, from the day we record this?
Like 11 days, 10 days.
9 days, it's a week on Saturday.
You're right, yeah. Sunday, a week on Sunday.
So what about what are the embargo limitations? Because I've been asked this for Annoyed Gamer. What's the limitations and what can when can the games be covered?
multiple things.
It's really confusing. In fact, I had to email Nintendo yesterday to get clarification on it. Essentially, we're probably not going to have most of our reviews up until like the day it launches. Their footage restrictions are like 30 seconds per clip at a time, which isn't going to work for us for our reviews. So. Most of our reviews for the Wii U release software are going to be up probably at like midnight when it goes on sale on Sunday. Unfortunately, we can't do anything else. That's just Nintendo's restrictions, unless you want to watch a 30-second review, which I don't think you're going to get much out of. And then the other thing, too, is we were doing a lot of just kind of fun testing with it yesterday. So I had the console in my office running on a TV, and I took the tablet out and tried to see how far away I could go before the signal would break up. With no walls, I walked a good 50, 60 feet before it started stuttering a little bit. With walls involved, it was probably about 30 or 40 feet. But the walls in our office are really thin. I mean, essentially, what we had here was like a big open floor, and they built walls to separate the offices.
Wait, listen, you can almost hear Elisa yelling at someone.
Right, right. The walls here are really thin. So then I took it home last night and fiddled around with it there, and in all honesty, I was pretty discouraged by it. First, I should say that the walls in my apartment building, they're so hard I can barely nail a nail into them. So they're kind of extreme, but I had the system next to my TV in my living room, and then my living room is kind of elongated, and then you turn a corner and you go into like our little kitchen. And so it's probably ultimately like 18 or 20 feet away from the system around the corner into the kitchen, and it just flat out stopped. So
you're not going to be able to save the princess on the toilet, huh?
No, not in my apartment. I'm not going to be able to take it many places, which stinks. Like, I won't be able to take it into my bedroom and, like, you know, lay in bed and play games. So it's a little discouraging. I don't know if maybe they're going to release a firmware update. They did say that there is an update coming to us in the next couple days, which I'm assuming will be there for day one for everybody else who buys it. But they haven't said what exactly that's going to change or fix. I'm hoping that maybe that's something they can fix, but I would not hold my breath.
Playing your console through walls is not normally something that.
But that's what the draw of this.
Yeah,
though.
but I was going to ask, how does the swipe B work? I mean,
touchscreen's great. I mean, it's not multi-touch.
Well, no, swiping it, from the, you're supposed to be able to swipe it from the TV to your screen.
Oh, yeah. It's like instantaneous, and it's smooth as butter. I mean, all that stuff works amazing, but literally, it's just, it doesn't seem as if the signal has the ability.
My phone is on.
It doesn't seem as if the signal has the ability to penetrate through solid objects very well. I also had problems connecting it to my Wi-Fi network last night. Again, I don't know if there's something coming in an update that will fix that. But it was sitting right next.
No Ethernet port.
There's no Ethernet port on it.
Just like the Wii.
Another big disappointment, which means you have to buy an Ethernet dongle for about $25 from Nintendo if you want to plug directly in. And if you're talking about serious games like a shooter or something like that, you're definitely going to need to spend the extra money for that. I couldn't even get it to connect to my Wi-Fi at all. Maybe the update will fix that. But it sits right next to my PS3, right next to my 360. I had my 3DS on my lap. All of those machines were able to connect fine. I could not get the Wii to connect. I don't know what the issue is there. So
let's talk about the battery life, because obviously this is a bone of contention where, especially if you want to go and sit on the toilet and then sit in the bed and, go a good 40 feet away from your console while somebody else is watching TV. Now, it takes 2.5 hours to charge.
Yep. And it took that exactly, by the way. Like, we got it, didn't play it, plugged it in, and it literally took exactly 2.5 hours to charge it full.
And it's like 4 hours of battery time.
Around there, yeah. I mean, I played with it most of last night and never died. That's a pretty good sign.
So does it come with a cradle, so you can just drop it in the cradle and and go off and do whatever you do and come back to it, or can you play in the cradle? Do you need to have it wired for really long sessions?
The deluxe model, the 32 gig model, does come with a cradle that charges it. And you can sit it in there, and it works real well. You can just pop it into the cradle, and it starts charging. If you get the base model, it does not come with the cradle, but you can plug the cord directly into...
Just a USB cable, right?
It's basically a mini USB that it uses to charge it.
And it's probably too short, so you have to buy a longer.
No, actually, one thing I would say is the cables that came with the Wii U are really long, which is nice. It also comes with an HDMI cable. Surprise,
Holy
surprise.
Shit, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So, we've only had it for 24 hours. We can't really talk about any of the games yet, or we would. But my experience with the hardware so far has been up and down. But I'm trying to keep an open mind, obviously, because they've already told us that there's this big firmware update coming to us in the next couple days. So take everything that we're saying here with a grain of salt. All that stuff could obviously be fixed. Just what we've got so far with the restrictions we're allowed to and what we're allowed to discuss. That's kind of our experiences with it so far. But stay tuned, obviously.
Yeah, next week's episode is going to be 4 hours long between this and Black Ops 2.
Yeah. Obviously, we'll be talking about Black Ops 2 in the show next week. So, yeah. And more Wii U. All right, so as I said off the top of the show, things are a little slow this week as far as game releases, so we figured with Q4 looming, we would answer some of your questions in another edition of On the Hook. And Marcus has the first question.
I do, and it's from Blah Blah 4. And he asks, what's you guys' favorite game score? I'm partial to some Halo or Shadow of the Colossus myself. We did actually have a discussion, and the group consensus is 9.6 is our favorite game score. Thank you.
He'll be here all week.
Yeah, I know. Try the veal. No, I'm actually going to come down to two. One from my childhood, simply because this was back in the day before special editions and everything of favorite movies. And I'm going to go with just Super Star Wars on the Super NES, because when I drop that in, and you
Is it just Star Wars music though?
It was Star Wars music with the light. Yeah, it was the lightsaber. And, I mean, it was just great. But the most recent one that I say recent, it's been almost a year, is Skyrim. I mean, it's one of those few that I've said before, when you're really getting into it and that score is rising, especially when you're going to discover a new shout. Hairs on the back of my neck. I mean, it's coming through the surround sound. You feel epic.
Yeah.
And I'm sure too epic for me at times, or like too much sustained
overdone
epicness, and I'm like
Gregorian chants. And
yeah. But it is really good. The main theme is pretty awesome.
What about you, Ryan?
I think my old school favorite song is the Goonies 2 theme, which is that Cyndi Lauper song. But it was funny to hear like that kind of a cover. I mean, it's funny, I really, really like music, but I'm sometimes hard-pressed to recall stuff. Like the Hotline Miami stuff we've been listening to has been pretty good. I like a couple tracks in Mass Effect every year. Unfinished Swan had a great score, but it was very, very kind of different. It's really hard for me to pick, but I will say, just talking like the whole, I mean, we should have Bloodworth in here, but the whole scope of like video game music, it's great to...
It's getting a lot better.
Well, it's great to listen to something like a Mario track, but maybe a little more on the DLs. Like listen to like Vampire Killer from Castlevania 1 and just see how that's been, it was like a 30-second loop, and how it's just been brought up and orchestrated and just advanced over, God, almost, 25 years now?
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool that we can see music evolving, and I still love chiptunes, and I think I don't think chiptunes have to mean retro. But it's cool that things can kind of go both ways.
Did anybody see that halftime show at the college football game a little while
Pretty
back?
amazing, yeah.
That was incredible.
Well, the guy who did that was a stand-in for the regular band leader, and after that, he was brought in full-time to be the band leader for good.
It was inspiring.
It went viral,
Look it up on YouTube. It's the best, 10, 15 minutes, the choreography and this music.
And normally during halftime of college football games, I just turn it off because I hate marching bands generally, but that one was awesome.
Yeah.
Jean-Philippe Sousa, have words with you.
Justin.
I don't know. I do like kind of I'm a fan of some of the old JRPG music, Final Fantasy 6 or 3, as we used to call it.
Yep.
Back in the day. Really good soundtrack. I think Chrono Cross actually, even though it's kind of a poor Chrono Trigger sequel.
Yeah.
Really awesome main theme, a lot of cool stuff
I'd
there.
agree with that.
I love Vagrant Story and Final Fantasy Tactics Ogre, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Hotline Miami is really good though.
I'm gonna have to check it out. Chances are I probably have all those tracks
if you play
already.
the game, and even if you enjoy the game a little bit and you listen to the whole soundtrack, it's probably just worth it to just play it and absorb that soundtrack and take in those nice retro graphics.
I agree with Ryan. It's really hard to recall specific soundtracks throughout time.
But now we have dubstep.
Right. One thing I would say one game that left a big impression on me with the soundtrack many years ago was The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. And I think the big part of that was because you were actually contributing to the music and that you were playing the ocarina. You kind of started the song and then it would go into the rest of the song fully orchestrated.
I was actually a snotty teenager, and I was upset that the main theme wasn't in there.
Oh,
and
really?
then they brought it back for Majora's Mask, and I felt validated.
Yeah, I mean, that's one that stands out. Two soundtracks this year. I mentioned Halo 4 last week on the show. Still love that soundtrack. think it's amazing. The soundtrack for Max Payne 3, which was composed by a band that I just listened to anyway because they're amazing, Health. There's like 4 or 5 songs on there that could just literally be, top 10 hits in Europe, because people here hate indie music for whatever reason. But in Europe, those are top 10 hits, and I would highly recommend picking up that soundtrack if you like indie music. Health is really good, and they did a bang-up job on that soundtrack, so that would be my pick.
Interestingly enough, Halo 4 soundtrack hit the Billboard charts at 50 last week.
There you go.
Highest entry by a video game.
Wow.
Yeah, which is cool. I mean, the music is going, it's part of our psyche now.
Well deserved, by the way.
And now I'm playing.
Oh, Alice had a good sound.
I'm playing the Mario tune in my head now for some reason.
Justin, you have the next question.
Here you go. Hand me a piece of paper with questions in it. It's from DJ Noctis, with fewer and fewer Japanese games being localized here in North America, do you ever see them making a comeback? I think there's still, if you look, there's plenty of good stuff being localized. Sometimes you'll have things like, I guess, Capcom's EX Troopers, which is a Lost Planet spinoff. That's something that maybe in, like PS2 era that would have, easily just instantly come over, and now I guess it hasn't been announced, but I mean, there's still plenty of good stuff. There's plenty of cool Japanese games. There's high-profile stuff. Maybe there aren't as many, AAA Japanese games coming out because they just don't make that many now.
Yeah.
Certain companies do. I mean, whether you're a fan of them or not, I don't know. Could it make a comeback? Who knows? I'd kind of like the games industry to just kind of, die and then rise from the ashes and maybe just start over. The budgets are so inflated.
Yeah.
Things are different. But, I mean, I don't doubt that you'll still be able to find good Japanese games that feel like,
I think
Seems
we got
like
a couple
less and
little
less.
boutique houses that are doing some of the smaller. I mean, I guess Atlas is still doing a ton of stuff, but like Xseed and Axis, they bring over a couple.
Yeah,
things.
there's actually a lot of stuff localized that wouldn't have been like in the SNES era. There was a lot of stuff that you missed,
everything,
a lot of
yeah.
stuff that didn't come over. So
Yeah.
I think we're still in better shape now in terms of getting Xenoblade. They finally got those games out.
Last Story, yeah.
Well, I know
Last Story,
those
they
Wii
finally
games.
came out.
Namco spent a year localizing Ni no Kuni for a January release. They put a lot of time and effort into that one. That's going to be.
And that looks great.
That's something I'm actually
They
interested in.
spent too
which will
much
shock a lot
time
of
on that
people.
game. That game should have been out
I don't know.
yesterday. I think there's a certain point where you're just like, you got to release the game.
Yeah,
We've been
but
looking at that game way too
when
long.
you've got like a script that's yay big and they're taking the time to localize it all. I mean, that's got to be.
It's
that is
commendable, but
impressive.
man, they've been working on that thing for a long time.
Actually, I think my advice would be buy Rising Revengeance, even if you're not super big fan of it, because I mean, Platinum has a super awesome studio. They have trouble, getting those sales. Like
You're right.
Vanquish, as good as it is,
Oh.
people were not buying it. So
You're right.
Level
if that
5?
became a big success, I'd be psyched. I think it would be a good thing.
And Level 5 just took their Guildo 1 game and turned it all into WiiWare, or sorry, DSiWare, or whatever the hell it's called now.
Yeah, so Suda51's game.
Yeah,
the
Liberation
first
Maiden
one
came
to
out, and
release.
the other ones are the Crimson Shroud and the Air Traffic Controller game, or whatever it's called. Those are coming out too. So DJ Noctis, you're wrong.
Yep. Let's see, I have the next question. Describe your Wii U impressions in only one word.
And who asked that question?
From Alex, Alexei Petlakov.
Oh, that's good.
I think that was wrong, but I tried. Sorry, Alexei. In one word, my Wii U experience so far, oh man, I would say confusing. Justin?
Nintendo Wii.
Okay.
It is, a Nintendo product through and through.
It is. Very unique. Ryan?
Touchy.
I like that. Marcus?
It's not a word. That's a
Trust
sign.
me, it is to me.
Is it a Wookiee?
Onomatopoeia.
That's actually a 55-page essay in Welsh.
Yeah. The reason I said confusing is because you look at some of the things you have to do to play like Nintendo Land, and it's like, here's a tablet. Now you sync up the Wii Motion Plus. Oh, but this game uses just the old Wii remote without the. It just gets very.
You need an org chart.
Pretty much, you need like a chart to show you like how to hook the thing up.
Should you just
so.
spend a few minutes when you get your Wii syncing up?
It's taking an hour to sync everything up, pretty much.
Say, okay, time for Nintendo Land.
Yeah. Okay, Ryan, you have the last question.
This one is from Petrosky275, Peter Navarro. Do you think Medal of Honor Warfighter should have been released the way it was, unfinished and buggy as hell? I think the problem, I don't know if it was buggy, but I think the problem is that
It was a big day one patch.
It was, that is true. It was.
Oh, it was a crazy patch. It
Yeah,
had like
I saw some of the patch
fundamentals in it.
But it was, I think the game was finished, and they still shouldn't have released it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Justin's covered this quite a bit already, but yeah, trying to glob onto that modern military shooter Comet, you should, yeah. Haley's Comet's every, 80 years, you don't have to fucking try to do it. I know they think there's money on the table, but I'm going to quote Justin, there was just no reason to release this game, right?
There really wasn't, yeah. I was on the Kevin and Bean radio show on K-Rock this week, and that was the first game that they asked me about. And I basically just told everyone listening to their show to do not buy the game. Because there's so much marketing muscle and so much money behind it that it's very easy for people to get fooled by this game. And So I feel like that game is just dirty pool, I think is the best way to put it. I think we've documented on the show that we didn't get it until the day it came out for review. And we said when we found that out, it probably wasn't going to be that good, and we were right. So in the future, when we mention we're not going to have getting games before the review is due, that's probably not a good sign. Yeah, Medal of Honor, not good at all.
When Isabella shows up with her cute friends, Michael can take his pick.
Honey.
What?
All right, that does it for episode 232. One last thing before we go. Next Friday, we're looking to do an episode of GT Live with the Nintendo Wii U. Still not set in stone yet. We're trying to work through a couple hurdles with Nintendo to make sure it happens. For any of you who tuned in to the Vita launch special of GT Live, kind of the same thing, walking through the system, essentially letting you guys walk through the system. You get to ask all the questions. We give you all the answers we can, kind of running through each game quickly to let you know which game should be on your radar for launch. So keep an eye out for that. If it does happen, there will be promotion all over the site. So just kind of stay tuned to GT next week, and we'll let you know if it's going to happen. I think right now it probably has about a 75 to 80% chance of going down. So make sure you look out for that. And Ryan has something very quickly to discuss.
Hey everyone, so interns, do you want to intern here? Do you want to be part of the GameTrailers family for the, I guess it'd be the winter semester? Email intern, oh God, I don't even remember the email address. We're gonna put it up in a nice little graphic right here.
GTinterns@gmail.com?
Yeah, we'll figure it out. That sounds right. You have to be a junior or a senior. You have to get college credit. We are in Santa Monica, which is near Los Angeles. You have to work at least 2 days a week for around 14 weeks, 13 weeks. They haven't given us the exact dates, but it's basically the middle of January up until, I guess that would be like end of April or May, I think. A lot of cool stuff. We'll get that information there, and hopefully we'll get the more solid dates for there's orientation and all this other stuff. And when you email the email address, we shoot back an automatic email of a lot of information, so hopefully we'll answer a lot of your questions, but we'd love to have you on our team.
Yep. So apply, and we'll get you in here. You guys will have a lot of fun. I think all our interns have had a good time working here. I don't think we really work anybody to the bone unless playing video games all day is working yourself to the bone. So make sure you send an email to that address. Again, we are in Los Angeles. You do need to be here during the entire internship. I know that's a bit of a problem for some people, but if you can make it happen, we're more than willing to take you guys. So anyway, next week, Call of Duty Black Ops 2. I can't wait to see what happens next week when this game comes out, by the way. I wish I could say things about the game. It's just so funny right now because, you know, in our Halo review, everybody is like, oh, you give this game that, and you get Call of Duty that.
Every first-person shooter we do, basically.
Oh, it's just always like, yeah,
comments,
you gave it this card, and you suck Call of Duty's dick, blah, blah. Well, I just can't wait to see all these people next week. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. You're definitely going to want to watch the show next week. So with that, Invisible Walls is up and out.
See this and other GT shows and game reviews on the GT Originals iOS app, available now on the App Store.